Welcome to the Codecast podcast by the Austin Code Department, where we talk about everything code related. In this episode, we sat down with an inspector to talk about a case that had a major impact on them. So let's go ahead and get started.
Hi, my name is Willis Adams, and this is my story as a code inspector. I recently received a message from my supervisor concerning a case, a fire that occurred there at that time at a structure. I wasn't sure what type of structure it was. I arrived there. Upon arrival, 2 inspector vehicles were already there. Michelle Starks was one of the inspectors there, as well as Mark Allen. Yes, Mark Allen. Mark Allen apparently had received the case because a fire that happened the night before. Apparently what happened is that people had got into the bottom of this structure, the lower level. It's a pier and beam home at one time. Now it was a commercial business. It was a law office. They had been camping out underneath the back portion of the building. So they would have been on the northeast side of the property. Apparently they may have been smoking, caused a fire. Back portion of the building was severely damaged. I arrived there. Mark had already spoken to a number of firemen who were there. They pretty much had the fire that had been extinguished many hours before I got there. He was not sure of how to handle it. I said, well, case is a commercial case, you can transfer it to me. I was familiar with that area because I had been at that area before where 2 fires had happened at similar situations. There were people that had got into the crawl space area into the house and apparently had started the fire and engulfed the rest of the back portion of the home or the business. At that point, I began to walk around the building to take photos of all the damage. Starting from the front, I walked to the south side of the building and came back to the rear of the property, went around to the northeast side where the most damage was, and could see the debris and the windows broken. Mark and Michelle, we were all pretty much walking the same property. I explained to Mark that we were going to have to placard the building, as obviously it was dangerous conditions. It needed to be boarded up. I tried to contact the owner. I talked to her later and explained to her that we'd have to board up the building. And I recommended that all the windows be boarded up because a home that's left with only a few windows boarded up, obviously they know nobody's living in there. They will try to get back into that building by breaking a window and gaining entry. So she agreed with that, and so they pretty much boarded the front windows on the front side, which wasn't damaged, all the doors, and I taped off the back with precaution tape because going up the rear stairs to the back door, the framing of that the stairway landing was damaged. Those things were done to ensure that no one would try to enter back there, obviously because of the dangerous conditions that existed. I started documenting in the case all what I observed: number of windows broken, soffit damage from the fire smoke, the rear the northeast side of the structure, the crawl space area was damaged, broken out. The electricity was turned off, obviously. The meter wasn't pulled, electric meter wasn't pulled, but electricity had been turned off, so no longer the building was they couldn't operate in there. Eventually the owner of the building had the law office came over and started retrieving some of their materials. They weren't damaged, but taking things out that were important because obviously now they can't occupy the building, so they started removing things. We have cases like this throughout, throughout Austin, not just fire, but structural damage. And it's important, here we have teams working. AFD came out to extinguish the fire. Code comes in to ensure that the owner gets the building back up to code. And so we point out all the issues, the deficiencies that we find with the structure. We give them a prescribed amount of time to meet those obviously meet those conditions. Of course, we're in an unprecedented period right now, so we're giving them a little bit more time to obviously to take care of the issues that they have at the property. That's typical of many of the cases. I handle primarily the central business district. In this case, also the properties that you see in these areas are primarily commercial properties. There are they're definitely mixed use, and so you'll see some residential properties as well. That home at one time, or that business, probably was a residential property before it got rezoned. As code inspectors, again, we are part of the safety department of the city of Austin. The other two departments, AFD, APD, we collaborate in a lot of stuff that we do. APD deals with individuals. AFD deals with actual structural damage in case of fire. We come in and do the enforcement part in terms of getting the buildings back to meet the city code. So our efforts are, we work as a team. And even within our own department, we work as a team. Residential helps out the commercial side helps out the residential side. And that's even if once we make initial inspections, we find out it's a residential property, we will find everything we can, whatever is wrong with the structure, turn over to the residential team, and they take it from there. And vice versa, they do the same for us. It's important that we're a vital part of the safety and welfare of the city of Austin. And all our departments are pretty much, within our code department, are vital to that. It's challenging, but it's also rewarding too, because you'll see some of the fruit of your work come out when the building is either torn down because it can no longer be repaired, or in the case that it's repaired and you see that they met the code, or a particular code that we put out, a deficiency we asked them to repair. Those things are important.